I have a dream of turning our car into sort of an escape shuttle for when Julia and I feel like getting out of the city for a little bit. I've been playing around with some ideas to build a sleeper platform in the back of this thing, so grab a cup of coffee and let me show you what I'm thinking. I'm picturing it as a platform that can be broken into 3 parts. The bottom section lives in the trunk. The middle section is the same size and is connected to this smaller part by a set of hinges, so it can fold up and be stored in the trunk while we're driving. Now the middle part lays on the back seats, which don't fold quite flat, so this trunk section is going to have to be raised a little bit, just so we can keep the platform level. I think this is a good opportunity to add some storage, maybe some drawers underneath the trunk section. We're also going to need a post here to support the hinged section. This will reach down to the floor where your feet would be if you were sitting in the back seat. And this will all be held together by drop pins. 2 here, 1 on either side of the hinge. Same goes for the other support post. And then 1 in each corner down here to secure the middle to the trunk section. Alright, let's get some wood. Hopefully they won't mind if I borrow this cart because the wood won't fit in the car and the shop is only like a half mile away. And here's some video proof that I did bring it back. So thank you Lowe's for the cart. Alright, with everything cut and loaded into the car, I'm gonna get started on the trunk section. This section of the build is a lot of countersinking and pre-drilling. I draw a lot of inspiration from Tom Sax's build style, so I generally design things out of plywood with countersunk flathead screws as fasteners. As I mount these sidewalls here, I'm butt joining plywood, so everything is meticulously pre-drilled and then the screws are sunk slowly to prevent any splitting. The center wall was a little bit tricky. I wanted to get it dead on because I only left 1/8 of an inch on either side of the drawers, but I clamped it down, pre-drilled, screwed it in, and I think we got it pretty close. This is the back portion of the trunk section. I'm using 2x4s here because this is where the middle section connects to the trunk portion and I want that connection to be extra strong. Now to just put the top section on and we're pretty much done with the trunk portion. Okay, moving on to the drawers. These are going to be 2 identical drawers. We're starting off with some countersinking, of course, pre-drilling the sides. This is 1/2 inch plywood. What we just built was 3/4 inch, so I'm being a little more careful here. The sidewall is mounted well enough. This side was bowing out a bit, so I just used the clamp to pull it back in before pre-drilling and screwing it. This back panel and the front panel here each had a nice snug fit, but I realized the veneer was peeling off of this corner. Nothing some wood glue can't fix, and this needle really worked well for spreading it between the layers. For the front face of the drawer, I don't want any visible screws, so my plan is to screw the face in from the inside. This extra panel I just added is to ensure my screws don't stick through the front, and then just a little more wood glue, clamp it, screw it in, and we'll let it dry. This bit is way overkill, but I want to counterbore these holes so the handle hardware doesn't stick into the drawer and limit the storage capacity. just using a flat washer with a lock nut, and that hides nicely in the counter bore. Alright, now we can finally test and see how these drawers fit. Nice and snug on the clothes there. And the left one. I like the fit, but the drawers are sitting proud by like 1/8 of an inch, so So the drawers bottom out against this 2x4 here. I'm thinking I might just take off 1/4 inch off of this surface here, and then on this post as well. And then I'll screw down 2 blocks here and 1 on the other side just to manually set where the drawer should be. So I'm not relying on this 2x4. I can set my depth based on a block mounted to the bottom. So I just got to go to the wood shop and cut these up. So the 2x are cut. Oh, fuck. I should have done these ones too. Fuck me. Wow. I had to do this one too. How did I not know that? Well, I didn't feel like going back to the wood shop, and all I had in the apartment was this awful coping saw, so sometimes you just gotta make do with what you have. Nothing a little sandpaper can't buff out. So with these blocks, I can set the drawer depth myself. Probably should have done this in the first place, but hey, we got there eventually, right? That's much better. Yep. Alright, this thing is ready for a test fit in the car. So before I lifted it up, the corners were kind of clipping where it's rounded here and here. The drawer corners are super close, as you can see. But I just lifted it up by 3/4 of an inch, and it looks good now. Alright, it's time for some sanding. I just hit it with some 120 grit to smooth down the corners. Then I built some feet to lift up the back and give the drawers a bit more clearance. I was really happy with how these corners came out. I think the rounded plywood layers look really cool. And of course, after sanding, it's time for tung oil, which means that plywood end grain is going to look even better. So everything is nice and tung oiled. I let that dry for about 2 months because we got married, and let me tell you, planning a wedding takes all of your brain power, so I didn't really have a chance to work on this, but it's summertime now and I want to get this thing done while the weather's nice so we can actually use it. Picking up where we left off, the base fits nicely in the trunk, but I want to see how the extension fits. I'm mainly checking to see how level the platform is here. It looks decent on camera, but I ended up having to raise it by about 1.5 inches. I also measured how high the support posts were going to be. These 4 blocks will just raise the middle section by 1.5 inches to make it level. At least I thought they would. Turns out the support post had fallen over, so I fixed that, and now the platform is leveled nicely. We are nearly there. It's time to start drilling holes for the pins. These pins have a ball detent on them that should help keep them in place once they're pressed in. They also sit pretty low once they're installed, so they shouldn't be pushing up into our backs when we're trying to sleep. And with that, the camper is assembled. Let's get the mattress in here and see how it fits. If you're wondering, this is an Exped Megamat Duo. On paper, it's just big enough to fit me at 6'3", which some might say is over the limit for people who can comfortably car camp, but I'm here to put that to the test. This is sick. Plenty of room. I mean, definitely enough room for 2 people. Like, I'm 6'3", and I can stretch out pretty much all the way. The mattress is just as tall as I am. But like, this is cool. Let me show you how it breaks down. Before I sped up this clip, it was 42 seconds total, so it's pretty quick. There are a few extra steps like hooking bungees around 2 boat cleats to keep the middle platform tied down, and I also added a little pin holster in this drawer. If you've been looking closely at the drawers, you may have noticed a cutout in the sides. That holds this countertop so we have space to cook, eat meals, or generally just have a surface to work on. It stores nicely under the base too. And this is how it lives. I mean, it takes up a solid 75% of the trunk, but we have the toolie up top to make up for it, so that should be plenty of room. The final test is to get Julia in here and see how it fits the 2 of us.
Oh! I hit my back. Whoa.
Not bad, right?
That was just sick.
Is he?
Yeah. Need some pillows.
Well, yeah, we'll make it cozy.
Some blankets. Wow. Nice job.
Thanks. I'd say she likes it. I'm thrilled with the way this thing came together. I think it'll serve nicely as our weekend escape shuttle. In the future, we'll definitely want to add a shade for the rear windshield to go along with these side bug nets, just for some added privacy, but for now, the only thing left to do is take it out on some adventures and test it out.